Welcome into the Pats Nation. I'm Corso. There's Catone. He's here. Joe's with us in the booth. You're watching us on YouTube, listening on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, anywhere you podcast, and, of course, 790 The Score. And, hey, make sure, there's the button. Make sure when you're on YouTube, you subscribe, hit that thumbs up, like the show. That's something we always appreciate. Check out our shorts and short reels. Leave a comment. Whether it's good or bad, whether you like us or not, let us know.
Doesn't matter. We like the comments.
Yes, I like it better when you say negative things about me. It's so much better for me, It just, renews my faith in humanity, Anyway, so you want to get in touch with us, you can do it in Heated Hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S. Leave a message 24/7. Joe will pick one that he likes, or he'll pick one from the mailbag. corso.catone@gmail.com. Morning, guys. Good morning.
Hey.
Good morning. How you feeling? Good?
Oh, wonderful.
This fun morning.
Sunday fun day.
It is.
By the way, today is
Mother's Day, right, Joe?
Yes, it is.
Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Yes, honestly. Happy Mother's Day. Yeah, we don't have any smart ass comments to say about that.
Nope, absolutely not. Nope.
It's seriously the toughest job on the planet.
It is. Positively. Especially when our wives, our mothers, and we're the husbands. It's definitely the toughest job in the world, Chris.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, would you please?
You're the one yesterday, of course, on Catone talking about buying pansies, hydrangeas, and all other.
Listen, I was trying to be nice. I was trying to be good.
Okay,
Mother's Day weekend, I was trying to be good.
Good. Well, let's see if you can be good today on this show, because we're going to go in weekly rewind, and we're going to talk about the undrafted picks that the Patriots there, because there's a few of them that we like. So we're going to stick around for that. And, of course, in Heated Hotline, we're going to hear from one of you. And we're going to go Pat's preview, and we're going to break down our wide receiver room. So make sure you're sticking around, because that'll be an interesting discussion, and also how the coaches are going to handle those receivers. So, but you ready to get started with the undrafted guys?
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it in a weekly rewind, Joe. Going back through the week, about a weekly rewind. Okay, Mark, so we know the draft is over, gone, and I know everybody's sitting around at this time of year kind of like, we're all Patriot out now. There's really nothing, right? There's always something. There's always something. And the something is some of these undrafted free. I got to tell you, Mark, a few of these guys I'm a little more excited about than some of the guys they drafted.
Yeah, believe it or not, I am too,
Such as the kicker, for example.
Yeah, such as the long snapper, kicker. Well, I guess the long snapper, I guess you needed them because you got rid of Cardona, but I don't know.
Whatever. Okay.
Whatever.
So let's talk about some of these guys. You want to talk about the receiver first, because that's the one you and I are the most excited about.
Yeah. So
this is Ifton Chism the third out of Eastern Washington as a wide receiver. And let me just give his numbers a little bit. Okay. Let's see. So he caught 100. Now this is in one season. Okay.
Yep.
He caught 120 passes for 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns in 12 games. Mark. Okay. Yep. On a per game basis, he led the FCS, not the level. That's the level they play at. He's 5'10", 195 pounds. He's quick, molded for a slot receiver, Mark. Talk about this guy.
So, do you know who else went to Eastern Washington, don't you? Cooper Kupp.
Oh, okay.
Eastern Washington. There could be an interesting similarity there, right?
Sure, I would love to have a similarity. The point is, though, there are guys that can come out of a school like that.
And that is my point. And that really is my point. Yes, they can be successful. Now, he's a true slot receiver. You watched him in college, Chris, and you put a number 11 Patriot jersey on him and let him run around the field in college. You'd say, "Holy shit, Edelman went back to college."
Yeah, right.
Like that's what his game is. Now, listen, he's not as strong as Edelman at this point. Obviously, probably maybe not as big. Understandably, I get it, right? Edelman wasn't that big when he came out. It took him a few years to get a little more physical. But Chris, this kid can play. He had a good Senior Bowl. believe it or not. He played well at the Senior Bowl. He played well in the practices. The kid played well at the Senior Bowl. I honestly thought he would have gotten drafted, Chris. I thought late 6th round, 7th round, somebody would take, because he was from an FCS school, I thought they would take a flyer on him. We didn't make it that far, into our rounds when we were going through our draft preview, but I actually had him, Chris, highlighted as like we did in the 6th round when you like Douglas and I like Booty. I had this kid circled 7th round, take a shot on him with a 7th round pick. Who cares? Take this kid, Chism. And, but listen, he was a priority for them. From what I gather, him and the running back, those are two guys, Chris, that were listed like in the top 10 undrafted free agents that were available to teams. And the Patriots got 2 of them. So that's kind of impressive for the Patriots.
Yeah. Let's not forget, okay, when Edelman came out of college, he went to Kent State. That's not a big school.
No.
And he was a quarterback.
Yeah.
He was a quarterback, which helped, obviously, to understand the offense.
You're not going to tell me that this kid you're not going to tell me, Chris, the reason this kid's on their radar, it wasn't because of McDaniels. They must have showed McDaniels tape of this kid, and he must have said, if he's available as an undrafted guy, you go get this kid. Or even take him in the 7th round, which they didn't. But I like him. We both like him.
1,000,000% that was the reason. Not 100%, 1,000,000%, if there's such a thing. Yeah, listen, I feel like this kid's going to make the team. I don't think this is going to be a kid that's going to put – I don't think this – maybe, but unless his size becomes an issue, unless his size is an issue and he can't
get off the line
and he can't get the playbook down, say, something like that, then he gets the practice squad.
But otherwise, he could be like one of the last. He could make the roster as a receiver.
Because they're going to fall in love with him. McDaniel's going to fall in love with this guy. He's going to fall in love with. He's going to look at this guy and he's going to see Edelman.
Yeah,
and that's what's going to happen. And maybe he can be something. I'm with you. I'm excited. I'm a hell of a lot more excited about him right now than I am about half the guys they got in that room. And so make sure you stick around till later on in the show because we're going to add this kid to the wide receiver room and see where we go with that. The other guy Mark was talking about was this Land Larison out of UC Davis, right? The running back. They got he was viewed by some as one of the top FCS prospects in this draft. Highly productive, rushed for over 1,000 yards in each of the last 2 seasons. Okay.
He had 1,400 this year, Chris, and 17 touchdowns.
17 touchdowns, but he caught 62 passes for 847 yards, Mark.
And another 6 touchdowns, catching the ball.
Yeah, and another 6 touchdowns as well. So his 2,387 all-purpose yards led that league. And his 23 touchdowns ranked second, Mark. So, And wait, hold on one second. Let me take a look at something here. Yeah, so it ranks second. So, he's 6 foot, 215 pounds.
You would think, Chris, playing at an FCS school, he'd be like a little 5'8", 5'9" guy. 6 feet.
6 feet, 215.
Do you know what the comparison was for him? Believe it or not, McCaffrey. He's not McCaffrey. Obviously, he's not McCaffrey.
We're really getting crazy over here with what we're talking about. Now, we just drafted Edelman and McCaffrey. Hey, let's go.
Let's go,
We're going 15-2 this year. 15-2. Oh, by the way, make sure you stick around because the schedule is going to be coming out. I want to let everybody know this early in the show. Schedule is going to be coming out in a week or two, and we're going to have our yearly fun. We're going to pick the games.
You know what this kid reminded me of a little bit, Chris, believe it or not, when I watched tape of him. Obviously, McCaffrey. But he reminded me a little bit of Burkhead.
Yeah.
When Burkhead was healthy, he could catch the ball out of the backfield. He could run. He could block. Like, I could see this kid, and I'm only thinking of guys that McDaniels coached. I could picture this kid developing into that type of a role where maybe you're the 3rd, 4th guy on the depth chart, right? But there's a spot where in certain spots you could put him in like Burkhead. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. So again, Joe's typing some things to us right now, which making us laugh. Anyway, so I like these two guys. I do. I think they could. I think they're guys that could be possibly now. I mean, they're going to be busy in that
Now, Chris,
room.
you like somebody from Boston College.
Jack Connolly, offensive lineman, 6'7", 325, great size obviously for an offensive lineman.
You know that Billy O'Brien must have weighed in on this and said, grab this kid.
Yeah, and because he's a local guy, Skarnecki is just a consultant right now, but he maybe got over there and saw him play and saw some film on him at Boston College. But what I love about this guy is he played left tackle, right tackle, guard. He played exclusively right guard last year, but he's been all over the offensive line, which is nice to have a guy like that. That's Trapizzo, who is going to a much better lineman than him, but on the same team, or Trapillo. Same kind of guy where, it seems to be in Boston College, they like their guys to be versatile. That's a Billy O thing.
Yeah, it's a Billy O thing.
And so I think you bring him in as a swing guy that maybe he's got a chance, to make this roster and kick some of these other clowns out,
Yeah.
So we'll see. I like him. And then the other guy I liked, you like too, was the Dupree out of Alabama, the tight end. Most people expected, including you, expected him to be drafted. 6'5", 256, Alabama. So,
started all 13 games this year, Chris. He's
right.
athletic. He's an athletic kid.
Yeah, he played in the right conference, played against the right competition, but break this guy down.
Played for a team, Chris, who didn't utilize the tight end much. That wasn't part of their offense. But he had 21 receptions, 256 yards. He's a excellent blocker, Chris. And they don't have a real true blocking tight end. Excellent blocker. But at the combine, Chris, he showed athleticism. Well, people were like, "Wow, this kid's pretty athletic. Like he can move."
Yeah.
And so I think he's got a shot, Chris, to compete for that third tight end position, believe it or not, or at least a practice squad, and eventually become like maybe a third tight end. But his niche is going to be, he might be able to make this team as the third tight end initially as a blocker. But I think he does show some athleticism, Chris, as a tight end. Listen, we talked about, we wanted them to draft a young tight end, and they didn't. So it was disappointing that they didn't draft a tight end in this draft because there were some good ones. He's undrafted, but I think the kid has a little bit of potential to, eventually develop into something, maybe.
Is this kid going to be Gronk? No, but
no, absolutely not.
But in other words, you can't just look at them in a vacuum. You got to take it for what the system is, what they do, how they use them. McDaniels, he has a chance to beat Bell out for the third guy. Okay.
Bell, Chris, I don't think Bell, unless Bell does show something, Chris, Bell, I almost picture like an H-back type of guy. I don't know if he's really a tight end in the NFL.
Right. And so this is the kind of guy from Alabama, you could probably hide him on the practice squad.
On the practice squad,
if you need to. But
yep.
Again, this is a McDaniels thing. This tells me that Vrabel is running things, because I don't see any of these guys as Elliott Wolf.
No. These are Vrabel. These are McDaniels guys. Yeah.
Because he sees a guy that could play on the line of scrimmage. He could play at the line of scrimmage as a tight end. McDaniels knows that, sees it. And you know what? I don't the way McDaniels' offense is run and how they use the tight ends and how they drag them out, how they rub for them, how they run them in seam routes, things like that, delays out of the off the line. You could see him falling in love with a guy like this if he has a decent camp, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They also took a tight end out of Ohio State, undrafted, but he's more of a project, Chris. He blocks, but he's more of a, maybe you throw him on the practice squad type of guy, the guy that they took from Ohio State, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they got some interesting guys, Chris. Anybody else strike you quickly from that?
Not really. No. I mean, I looked at a couple. There was a linebacker.
There was one linebacker. I was going to say that you thought was maybe a developmental guy.
I think he could develop. Certainly not on Mondit or somebody like that. But I think he's a guy that he'd have to bring him along slowly. But he's got athleticism. He's got some speed, and this
throw him on a practice squad.
Yeah,
right?
And this kind of defense, I think he can maybe provide something on a scout. Maybe he shows. In a year or two. You never know with some of these guys. A lot of undrafted guys have made it. So we'll see. But I'm excited about this particular group. I think they can be something. So we'll see what happens. But Weekly Rewind was presented by CORSO CATONE, the real deal New England feel. Saturdays, noon Eastern. Hey, we got it all. We'll see if the Celtics are staying in the playoffs. But we talk about that. We got Catone's comments. Yesterday, he talked about buying flowers. So we'll see.
I won't live that down. I won't live that down.
We'll see what happens next week. But when we come back, going to hear from one of you in the nation in Heated Hotline. No flipping.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more
CORSO and Catone. Saturdays at noon.
Back in with more Pats Nation.
We love that every time we see it.
Crack up every single time. Every single time. So it's time. We want to hear from somebody in the nation in Heated Hotline. Joe.
This time around, Heated Hotline comes in right in, and it's John from Burrillville. John says, can someone please explain to me how the Patriots were not in on the wide receiver George Pickens trade?
Thank you,
Please
John.
don't tell me it was about culture because you have a goddamn head coach for that. Oh, I'm sorry. They must be satisfied with the wide receiver room overall. That was John from Burrillville. Thank you,
John. It's Mother's Day, man. It's Mother's Day. You know, we got to be nice and calm and relaxed.
Oh, John, they ought to listen to you screaming and yelling and spitting all over the place about the Celtics yesterday on CORSO and Catone.
That was yesterday. That's not today now. Okay, John, thank you for the write, and we appreciate it. Mark,
well,
is he right?
Chris, so they only gave up a third rounder and a fifth rounder, right?
Yep, and then they got a 7th too in return, but
okay, Dallas did. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Dallas gave up the 3rd and the 5th, and Pittsburgh
gave up the 7th.
Gave up the 7th and Pickens. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now he mentions culture. Well, he is right about that. A lot of teams didn't want to touch Pickens because he's a head case, right? Can be a little bit of a whiner, troublemaker. That's what's out there about him, right? Supposedly, it was the coach who said, get him out of here. Now that we got Metcalf, we're starting fresh. Supposedly, it was Tomlin who said to the front office, get him out of here. But I don't know why they didn't do it before the draft. Maybe they would have got more for him.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know if – I mean, that's – listen.
Dallas traded for him now because maybe they didn't get anything that they maybe a receiver in the draft. I don't know. But anyway.
And Pittsburgh's a mess, man. Not to stray off here, but Pittsburgh, what the hell are they doing at quarterback?
Yeah, they're a mess.
And now they got rid of the number 2 receiver.
Supposedly they got a gentleman's agreement with Rodgers, and he's just taking care of a typical Rodgers, some personal stuff, but then he'll be ready to come in. Supposedly.
He's going to tear that team apart. He's going to tear that team down.
Yep.
Because you know why? I know we're not – this is off, but you know why? For all the love that Tomlin gets about, being a player's coach and all that other nonsense, I can't think of another team in the league that's had more issues with more guys at skill spots that he has not been able to control, whether it be Bell, Brown, LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah.
This guy, I don't know. But anyway, Antonio, yeah. But here's the thing with this. Yeah, they should be in on this. They should be in on anything, everything, to get a guy that's a potential. Now, he's a number 2 in Dallas, CeeDee Lamb, but everybody talks about his athleticism and the potential for him to be a one. I don't know.
I don't know if it can be or it can't be, but put it this way, Chris. Listen, again, you and I have talked about this. They got a 32-year-old, going to be 32 years old this season, Stephon Diggs. And do they think he's there? He's the one. He's a one?
I told you that a month ago, that we don't think the problem that the Patriots are going to have is we don't think he's a one. We talked all about that as to why, but do they think he's a one?
I think they do. I think they do.
And if they didn't think he was a one, I think Luther Burden would be on this team.
Well, Bourne, another guy, culture, Chris.
Or instead of Henderson, or trade up for Higgins.
Yeah. Yep. But even if Diggs is a 1, okay, he's a 1. He has a great year, whatever. 2, he doesn't solve your problem. He's a Band-Aid. A year from now, 2 years max, he's done. Now what are you doing? You still don't have that receiver. You still
No.
have him.
No.
So why not get involved? Take a shot with a guy like Pickens. And again, John mentions in the culture. It was definitely culture, Chris. They don't want to deal with him. And they don't want to give up, Chris. They don't want to give up assets. You keep saying, well, they're holding out for A.J. Brown. They're never going to give up the assets it would take to get A.J. Brown in here. They won't do it.
But you have to think now at this point. You have to think at this stage in the game. All right, we did a draft. We just had a draft where we filled a lot of holes.
And everybody loves this. They all love this kid Williams. They drafted in the third round.
We got an A+. There's A's all down the list for this draft. I think they're all nuts. But okay, if you can give a grade, I hate giving grade. How do we know? 2 years from now, we'll know. But you listen. You evidently, supposedly, didn't give up a lot of picks this year or trade around and do things because you filled all the holes. You certainly filled the offensive line holes.
You did.
You filled a running back spot. You definitely did a lot on defense.
Yeah.
So what the hell do you need all the capital for?
Because they think they filled their hole on wide receiver, Chris, with Diggs, Hollins, and now this rookie they drafted.
They can't be that ignorant. I can't imagine that Vrabel's this ignorant, that he thinks that this is the solution to their wide receiver issue. Look, they filled all the hot holes. You don't need all these picks now. What are you going to do with all these damn picks, Mark? So if you come into next year, look, the bottom line is this. And yeah, I think I'm not holding out. I think Vrabel is holding out for the opportunity to try to get that guy, to get A.J. Brown out of Philly. Because we all saw it last year. Okay? We all saw that, and this goes to this topic, whether they should be trading and being on trades for wide receivers. We all saw A.J. Brown last year reading books on the sideline, self-help books to calm himself down because he's pissed off that he's not getting the ball. Okay? Period. Because that's just not what they do there. They're going to use Barkley. They're going to use that offensive line. Well, now they've won a ring. So you're on a ring, you check that box. What's the next box for a diva receiver to check? Not I mean diva, but just a top-end number one receiver. They check the box of wanting to be the best.
Yep.
I want to be the best receiver in football. I want that notoriety. Well, how are you going to do that if you're not getting the ball thrown to them? And especially when you got another 1A in Devontae Smith on the other side of you.
Yeah.
So I would have to believe that the Patriots are keeping a close eye this season on any disgruntled nonsense before the end of October.
Because you had mentioned, Chris, if you're going to do it, the best time to do it might be at the trade deadline.
During the season.
The
guy's irritated. He's pissed off. This Philly's sitting there saying, look, depending on where they are, they're saying, hey, look, do we wait for the offseason and start taking multiple bids? Do we do this deal now? Maybe Vrabel's got that in mind, or maybe he's got in mind pulling him out of there in the offseason. But you either got to do that with your draft capital, or you got to do what you said, Mark. Whoever the number one receiver is, and God, if it was 2 years from now, right? But whoever the number one receiver is in the draft, take your stuff, package it, get up, and get them. No?
Yeah, absolutely. Because next year's wide receiver draft is okay. It's the following one that's going to have like 4 number one wide receivers in it. Possibly true number one wide receivers. But I don't think we can wait that long, Chris. You can't wait another draft. You can't wait 2 more years for that draft. Then to use all your capital to go get somebody. I mean, Drake May is the clock is ticking now. He's on a rookie contract. You got to get him players.
If you wait till then, he's coming into the last year now. He's coming into the year of picking up the option, which they're going to pick up. But he's going to want a deal. He's not going to go into year 5 on an option deal.
No.
Without a new contract.
So John is right. Make a damn deal. Be in on these guys. I don't think they'd even pick the phone up for Pickens. I don't think they're interested because of the culture. I think John's right.
Okay, so there's another guy though that you think is flying under the radar by everybody. somebody you loved in the draft 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And somebody we could probably get out of there for what?
I bet you can get him out of there for a 5th-round pick.
Talk about this guy.
He'll take the top off the field. He can run it. He's fat. He's smart enough to learn your offense. You can put him in different spots in the field, but true deep threat X, line up and go with him. He did it at Tennessee. The kid's got blazing speed. He's buried with the Giants, buried over there. Get him out of there. Pick the phone up. That's my thing, though, Chris. I don't know if the Patriots their scout room, their draft room, I don't know if they even realized who this kid was coming out of college, which means he wouldn't be on their radar. But I can't believe no one's picking the phone up to the Giants to grab this kid.
That's a kid that can become a number one.
Yes.
And he got no love there last year. He didn't get the ball. First of all, they don't even have a quarterback. They had a crap quarterback last year, even the year before, and now
they have another crap quarterback.
Right.
Even if they use the rookie, what's the rookie going to do over there? It's going to take him time to develop. Jackson Dot.
No, he's not. He's going to be on the bench. It's going to be Wilson, or it's going to be who the hell's the other guy they picked up?
Wilson, or they picked up the other guy that was with Tampa and Cleveland and what the hell's his name?
Winston.
Yeah.
I mean, those are 2 garbage quarterbacks at this point.
2 garbage quarterbacks at this point of their career.
Meanwhile, you got Neighbors sitting over there, Slayton sitting over there that Jay just gave a contract to. That's the number 1 and the 2. So yeah, Hyatt's buried on this team. You could get him out of there with like a 5th round. I mean, you can give up like maybe a 5th round pick, 5th, 6th, maybe 2 pick, whatever.
You can get him out of there. You can get him out of there.
Get him out of there with ease right now. And I know we got a crowded wide receiver room.
We do.
But we got a crowded wide receiver room with a bunch of garbage. So, no, I don't know why they're not in on the pick. Well, I know why they're not in on the Pickens deal, because they're worried about the C word. That I can't say it anymore. I can't say the word. You know? Listen, we had a call. Who was it last week? Was it Jen from Cranston? It's usually Jen who's usually pissed off. And again, everybody, all of our listeners keep saying the same thing, and we do too. It's up. Who's it up to create the culture on the team?
The coach.
I've said this 100,000 times. I'm going to say it one more time. Okay? The Patriot way that Belichick says didn't exist. Right. Well, whatever that way was, okay, whatever you want to call it, the coach created it. Now, players had to adhere to it. Players had to believe in it. And then players pushed it and policed it, certain players. But if anybody thinks that Teddy Bruschi, Willie McGinnis, Lawyer Malloy, Ty Law, Seymour, go down the list, Vrabel, all those guys, and I'm naming guys that were there, Vinatieri, naming guys that were there before Belichick, okay? If anybody thinks that those guys, Ted Johnson, were the guys that set the Patriot way and set the culture, nonsense. You know why? What happened between 97 and 2000?
Well, you had Pete Carroll there.
Right.
In between.
And I'm pretty sure that locker room was a joke.
It was. At that point of his career, Pete Carroll, it was like a country club over here.
Right. That locker room was a mess and a joke. And they were laughing stock after they went to the Super Bowl in 96. Drew Bledsoe. So don't tell me you got to get the right players in here for culture, because they had the right players pre-Belichick. And all of a sudden, those guys post-Belichick, they bought in. No, the coach sets the culture, man. John's right. Jen's right. All of our listeners are right. We're right. Do your goddamn job, Vrabel and company. You set the culture. Bring the guys in, and they'll adhere to it because you're the authority figure, Mark, right?
Yeah, but according to what everything being said, Chris, is he's going to do that this year, and then next year, once it's set, maybe they take a shot on a guy like a Pickens or a guy like Bourne in the draft, because it was said by a couple of local guys, so they must have got it from somewhere, Chris. Well, maybe next year you take a shot on a guy like that.
Yeah. What's it really
kidding?
about? What's it really about? What's it really about?
Yeah.
It's about the dollars and cents. That's why they're not making trades for established players. like Metcalf, like Pickens, like anybody else, because it's about the dollars and cents. And those puppets that you're talking about in the media, yeah, they're hearing it right from the Kraft clan, and they're just spewing the crap out that Kraft wants out there, which is culture. We can't bring money. We can't bring these high money guys in that get all the numbers in the league because they're going to provide a bad culture at this place. No, translation, we're cheap. We don't want to pay them. End of story. Right? That's it. So, John, thank you for the write-in. We appreciate it. That always gets us going when somebody mentions the word culture. So, but Heated Hotline was presented by CORSO Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm, CORSOLawGroup.com. Allow us to be your voice. All right, when we come back, we're going to go into Pat's preview, talk about the wide receiver room. 20 seconds, right back.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. CORSO Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys.
Back in with more Pat's Nation. Okay, Mark. Oh, this is exciting talking about. Now, let me set it up. We're going to be talking every week. We're going to break down now the roster's here. We know it's here. Look at how excited he is with the pen. He's rolling.
I'm ready.
He's excited. This is his favorite thing. We're going to be breaking down a position group every week, talking about what we got on the team, who stays, who goes, how the coaches are going to use them. And we're going to start with the wide receivers to Mark's delight. We're going to do it in Pat's preview. We're going to do it now.
Pat's preview.
Okay, Mark, and I want you to consider this kid Chism as part of the wide receiver group.
Okay.
Okay, can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Mark, you're the guru. Let's talk about this receiver room. How do you break down these guys? Who's here? Who's not?
So Diggs obviously is going to be here, and from what the little, again, as you always say, Chris, shorts, t-shirts, no contact, nothing. Guys were like
7
wow.
on 7.
7. Well, I don't even know if they were doing 7 on 7s. I don't know what they were doing this week, but guys made it a point. Now they made it a point to say, "Wow, is he athletic?" You'd never guess he just had a knee injury, 5-6 months ago. Oh my God. Right? Hooper said it. A couple of guys said it. Come on, really? So I think they got some wishful thinking going on over there in regards to, having Diggs ready to start the season. So,
what do you think? Are you still maintaining your week 4, week 5 prediction?
Yeah, I don't see, Chris, how he's ready to roll week 1. Do you?
No.
I mean,
No, what you're going to see is a setback. You're going to see training camp open up, and he's going to start doing stuff in training camp.
They got pads on.
You're going to hear about, well, there's been a little bit of a setback. Let's get him on the PUP list.
Yep. So, but he's going to make the team, obviously. He's going to be
He's their one. He's their number one.
He's their one. So when he's ready to hit the field, he's going to be a big part of what they do, right? He's going to have to be.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, who obviously who I believe is safe because they just can't stop talking about him, is the guy they just drafted, Kyle Williams, right?
Of course, yeah. They wouldn't have drafted him if they weren't going to keep him. So
he's going to be there. Now, everybody keeps saying he's an X, Chris. He's an X. He's a true, he's an X. You have some reasons why, based on what you watched on film, he can't be an X if this is how he's going to get open. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about, well, Mark, he's really can't be an X if this is what they're doing with him on the line. As you started to watch film, you noticed it.
Yeah, and I'll give Mark credit for this also because he called me and said, go watch the film. Just go watch the film on this kid and tell me, go watch Syracuse, go watch, some of these other games, go watch against Hunter, and then tell me what you see, and I'll see if what I'm seeing is right, And so I did, and I watched it twice. The first time I watched it, I looked at his feet, okay? Looked at his footwork, and I came away from that saying, the hell is Mark talking about, man? This dude's legit. I mean, this guy uses his feet. He's got a hop step like Devontae Adams. I haven't seen too many guys that could spin as quick as he does, drop for comeback routes, back shoulder throws, dig that foot into the ground, stem the route, all that stuff that creates separation with your feet. Okay. Then I went back and watched it again and looked at his hand placement, his hands is in that, and where he lined up. Okay. So not only where he lined up, but where they lined up against him. Okay. So he's playing at Washington State, which, they're not playing great company. They're playing Syracuse, teams like that. Okay. So he's the number one weapon on the field. So what you see out of the defensive backs is playing soft press. So they're playing like 3 yards off as a press, which that's not really a man up press, bump and run coverage. Okay. That's off a little. So he's still getting hands on, but he's got time to use that footwork, that great footwork to get himself separation, right? Okay. I never saw him use his hands to do it. I never saw him use his arms are short, his hands are small. I've never seen, even at the top of routes, I didn't see his hand placement, chucking. I didn't see any of it. So, and then I said, listen to everybody say, well, he's going to be a guy that you get him off the ball, where he's not the on receiver, he's the off receiver. You put him in motion, try to get some gap and distance so you can get separation. That's not an X, Mark. That's not an X.
No. So I'm wondering if these guys, these local guys, do they even understand what an X, the difference between an X and a guy you're putting in motion and getting him in different formations and sets to get him off the line so nobody can put their hands on him. Like you say, Chris, that's fine, but that's not an X.
They compared him to Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Go back and watch tape on Smith coming off the line of scrimmage with his hand placement, what he did. Okay? And then go watch this kid Williams and tell me you think he's going to be an X. It's done. It's not going to happen. So don't, okay. But he makes the team, right?
Makes the team.
Okay.
Makes the team.
The existing guy. Oh, what about
you? And I'm assuming, Chris, they keep talking about, because he's 6'4". Now, I think he's a 4, maybe, but they keep talking about this kid, Mac Hollins. He's like a journeyman, but they keep talking about the fact he's 6'4". He's good in the red zone. He gives them something they don't have.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they didn't trade up for Higgins, because they got this guy, Chris. He's 6'4", too.
He's like 30 years old, too. 31 years old, whatever the hell he is, too.
Old, please, Chris. But
third team.
I'm assuming, I think it's his 4th team, but I'm assuming he's making the roster. Just because they keep saying he gives
that
them
was their free agent pickup.
Yep. And they keep saying he gives them something they don't have at his height and size.
So that's 3.
That's 3.
Okay, now go to the guys that were here last year, and when you talk about the guy, I'll tell you how many catches he had.
So how many receivers are we think are going to stick? 6 or 7?
Well, they'll bring 6 to. They'll bring like 7, 8 to camp, but I think 6.
No, but I'm talking final roster. 6?
I think 6 will end up on the roster. Maybe week to week, you'll see somebody drop down, but they'll take 5 to a game.
Listen. I don't think Kendrick Bourne should be on this roster. I believe you should trade him, release him. If you release him after June 1st, Chris, it's a $6 million savings. That's right up Kraft's alley. Yeah. I have a funny feeling if they can't get nothing for Bourne, he's going to be a cost savings.
Yeah.
I think they're going to move on.
Want to hear his numbers?
Go ahead.
12 games played, 28 catches for 300 yards, and 1 touchdown.
So why are you not going to cut ties with him and save the money? Cut ties with him, save the damn money, right? So my prediction is he's going to be gone. That's my prediction. Okay. So we still only have 3. Demario Douglas.
Okay.
I believe.
Give you the numbers.
Makes the team.
17 games played, 66 catches, 621 yards, 3 touchdowns.
And wasn't utilized in the way we both thought he should have been utilized last year with that offensive coordinator.
Yeah, this system he would be much different.
So we think that McDaniels will find the niche for this kid in the slot. And granted, he's not a big guy for the slot, Chris, but he has that speed, like you said, that short line, 10-yard speed. That's as quick as anybody.
Right.
So I think Douglas makes the team.
That's 4.
That's 4. Polk.
15 games played, 12 catches, second round pick, by the way, high second round pick.
How many catches?
12 catches, 87 yards, okay? 2 touchdowns. I'm going to say it again. 87 yards. 12 catches, 87 yards, 2 touchdowns. Or a good day, a normal day for Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. A normal game for them. 12 catches, 87 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's like a game for one of those guys, Mark. Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I do not believe, me personally, I cut him. They're not going to release him, Chris. He's a second-round draft pick. If they move on from him, if he struggles in camp, did they come up with a make-believe injury and put him like on a practice squad all year, but you don't really know he's on a practice squad because they make up a make-believe injury and they try to develop him for one more go? I mean, if he don't make it, Chris, that's really, really a black mark on your buddy Elliott Wolf.
For 2 reasons, that's a no. 1, it's not Mike Vrabel's guy. He didn't pick him, doesn't care, okay? And 2, he wants Elliott Wolf out. So,
Okay.
in my opinion. So the more he can make him look like a fool. That's why Elliott Wolf made excuses for Polk, saying we gave him too much. There was too much on his plate. Because he knows that if that guy goes, now what? What's his draft look like? All right. So, okay, you and I both say you're saying he's on. I think he's going to be off. I think he's going to play his way out in the preseason. That's what I think.
Then there's Keyshawn Boutte, who everyone keeps saying they're shopping him.
Yeah. So 15 games played, 43 catches, 589 yards, 3 touchdowns.
I like him, Chris. I think he can be utilized better in the McDaniels offense. I say he makes the team, even if he's your 5th or 6th receiver. If there's a couple of injuries, I say he makes the team.
I do too. So that's what, 5 now?
5.
That's 5.
Well,
all right.
If you put Polk on a team, it's 6.
Well, let's take Polk off the team for a minute.
And then I think this kid Chism makes the team. I agree with you.
Okay, so now you're left with Chism, Baker.
I forgot about Baker.
Well, you're left with Chism and Baker now.
I think the final spot is going to be between Baker, Chism, and Polk.
Yeah,
they're going to fight for
11
that
games.
Spot.
11 games. He had 1 catch for 12 yards and no touchdown. The 12 yards was off the 1 catch. And by the way, back to Polk really quick. I didn't give you the stats. I don't have them of how many penalties Polk had.
And how many drops.
Which isn't going to play well with Vrabel either, but go ahead.
No,
or
the penalties. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. Polk, Baker, they talk about culture. Baker was supposedly a pain in the ass, Chris, in the locker room. So if you keep talking about culture, how the hell is he going to survive with Vrabel? Unless he has a real big attitude check, he'll be gone. There's no way Vrabel's putting up with him.
No, not his pick.
Not his pick. And that's why, Chris, he
had no problem cleaning up the linebacker room.
Chris, when he made that comment a little ways back when he said, we're going to have a lot of, did he make some kind of comment about we're going to have a lot of new guys?
The team's going to look a lot different.
A lot different. That's why, Chris, he brought in this kid Chism. He brought in the running back, this kid Larison, because these guys possibly, depending on what they look like in camp, could fill out depth pieces, but they'll be his depth pieces, Chris. Okay, my 6th receiver is Chism. He'll develop. He's my guy, McDaniels' guy, not Baker. That was Elliott's guy. He's gone. Do you know what I'm saying?
So the 2 second-round picks, or the 2nd-round pick and the 4th-round pick, Baker and Polk maybe. So you and I, okay, all right.
And now wait, I want to give you one more stat.
All right, go ahead.
82 receptions, 1,149 yards, 7 touchdowns. You know whose stats those were? 82 catches, almost 1,200 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Ladd McConkey.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you gave.
Chris, Polk and Baker combined, did they even got 100 yards receiving?
No, between the 2 of them, Baker had 1 catch. What the hell did Polk have? What did I say he had? Where he is? 12 13 catches between the 2 of them.
How many
And-
yards did it equal?
87, 97, 99 yards.
Oh my God.
And two touchdowns.
Well, I just gave you McConkey's stats.
So yeah. They traded out of that pick to get these two guys. So okay, yeah, that's why I don't think Vrabel cares.
So what do you think? Do you agree with what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, here's how I have it. I have it: Diggs, Hollins, Williams, Booty, whatever you Booty, Douglas. You come to and Chism, because this kid Chism's a tough son of a bitch too. Put it.
So you think
Josh
Baker
McDaniels is going to be
Polk-
looking for a reason to have this kid around. He's going to be looking for it. And
So
and
you
Vrabel's going to
think-
be looking for a reason to get Polk and Baker out.
out of here. Yeah, because they're not his guys. You're right. They're
And
not
when
his
by the way, a couple of weeks when we talk about running backs, he's going to be looking to get Stevenson out too. So which opens up that Larison guy,
guys. Yeah. No, you're right, Chris. You're right.
because I think you can get running backs anywhere. But anyway,
Chris,
we're talking
listen,
about receivers.
for running backs though, even if you got Stevenson, Henderson, and who's the Gibson, do you typically keep four running backs on a roster? Typically,
Yeah, I mean you need another one. But anyway, but
this kid
getting back to
Larison,
receivers.
but go ahead.
Yeah. So, but receivers. So, do we agree that, say, we go into the season with those six? So, in the next segment, we're going to talk about in Coach's Corner. We're going to talk about how we're going to use these receivers now. So, do you want to settle on those six going into the season?
Yeah, let's
Polk and
settle on
Baker
those. We're
out.
going to say Polk and Baker are
Polk,
out. Yeah.
Baker, Bourne, out.
Well, because Bourne, I think, is going to be a not because he went through training camp and he got cut. I think they're going to release him before training camp to save the money.
Okay. All right. Well, now we
Because
want
it has to be after June 1st. They can't release him now. After June 1st cut, they save $6 million.
So now we want to see how they're going to be used. Okay, so we're going to get to that in Coach's Corner, but Pat's preview was presented by CORSO CATONE, the real deal New England Field, Saturdays, noon Eastern. We got it all. We got Yankees, Red Sox. We got Celtics, and hopefully they stick around in the playoffs. We'll see about that next week. Catone's comments. I don't know what kind of flowers he's buying next week, but we'll see about that in Catone's comments. When we come back, let's go into the coach's room and talk about these receivers. No flipping. The real deal New England Field. What does that mean? We're like you. We're going to bitch about everything.
My opinion, our draft, the good, the bad, it was ugly.
These people, Mark, drive me freaking insane. Bananas.
It's so frustrating and aggravating. I can't take it.
The real deal New England Field. It's going to be real. Damn right it's going to be real, Mark, on this nice Mother's Day. Calm, normal, happy day.
Yes.
So back in with more Pat's Nation. All right, Mark, let's go into the coach's room. Let's talk about some of these guys and how we think they're going to be used. Joe?
Coach's Corner.
Okay, so we settled on the six. Now we want to rank. Let's rank those six, first of all. We agree Diggs is one.
Diggs is one.
Douglas two, or Hollins two, or Williams, or Booty, or what do you think? It's a toss-up. They're all shit after that.
Does it really matter? I think after Diggs, you just throw the dice up and let them fall where they go. I mean, I guess you could say because of this type of an offense, maybe Douglas is two.
Yeah, I think so. I think Douglas is two. I think Hollins is probably three.
Butte maybe four. Well,
I think Williams probably settles in at four.
And Butte's a five. And no,
Chism
is six. Yeah. Where did we say Hollins was?
I got him at three.
3, 4, yeah, 3, yeah. Yep, I think that's how it plays out.
I think the two battles, there's a couple of battles that are going to go on here. I think Booty and Williams are going to battle. I think Chism and Douglas are going to battle for that spot, for that slot.
For our viewers, I mean, you're going to think we're crazy, right? You're talking about a guy from Eastern Washington. Listen, well, we are, but that's another issue.
Cooper Kupp.
Go watch the tape on this kid, Chris. You said he's a tough SOB.
Oh yeah.
And he is. He bounces off guys. Like he knows, Chris. He has good spatial awareness. Like he knows where to sit in a zone. He knows how to use his body. The kid is I think the kid's just a player. Put away, he's a football player, Chris.
Right.
He may not be the fastest. He may not be the biggest. He may not be the strongest like Edelman was.
We heard those things before.
Right? But he's a football player. And that's what Welker was. And that's what Edelman was. They were football players. Right? And that's what this kid is. And I don't think you have that in this locker room at the wide receiver position, Chris. No. A guy like that who's a football player with balls. Yes.
Right.
Thank you for saying that. Yes.
On this nice Mother's Day.
Yeah, Diggs has it. I shouldn't say that. Diggs has that. Diggs has it. Diggs is a dog.
No,
right?
but for the type of position we're talking about.
But for the type of position we're talking about, where this kid's going to play a true slot, he'll be a true slot, this kid. You may be able to move him around the line a little bit. You're right. He's going to battle with Douglas.
Who plays the X?
But Chris, well, supposedly Williams is the X because Diggs, you'll move around the formation, won't you? Diggs typically will move around the formation. So I'm assuming the X, according to what everybody is saying, now we'll see what happens in camp. Supposedly it's going to be Williams, right?
So I think you're talking about how McDaniels is going to use
Collins, Chris, I think plays like a
third down.
Down, but he plays a little bit of what like Jacoby Myers used to play. What would you consider Myers? Was he a Y? What was he?
Yeah, I mean, you consider him wise. It depends on how you label him, but like Y is typically the tight end. So you say a Z receiver.
A Z.
Yeah. And then when you go 10 personnel and then you have, you have 4 receivers. You have 4 receivers out there. So when you have 10 personnel, now it's tough to say, well, X, Z, Y. The Y becomes a wide receiver.
That's what I mean. That's
the guy that's closest into the line of scrimmage, but they're all off ball. So
because they let Hollins, Chris, typically plays well in this, like down the seam.
Yeah, he's the guy that you'll see playing at the wing.
Yeah,
and then he'll go in motion.
Yep,
and you'll see him come out for an out route, a little rub situation. A guy that can move the sticks. Yep. A little bit.
And in the red zone, Chris, he'll be that guy that you throw that corner out to, I'm guessing, at 6'4", right?
Yeah, you go up and get that 50-50 ball.
Yep.
Yeah, so you'll see him in situations. So I don't think McDaniels is going to use him as an every down receiver. So when you're starting the game, my guess is they're still going to like these 11 personnel. You'll start the game with maybe 3 receivers, 2 receivers, 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. So who are the 2? So if they start in a 12 personnel, let's say 2 tight ends, running back, who are the 2 receivers on the field? It's obviously Diggs. Do you see it as Douglas? Because I probably see it as Douglas.
It's going to be Douglas.
They're not going to trust Williams enough yet.
No,
to
not
put him
yet.
on the field.
No.
So unless he pops in training camp. But I feel like Diggs will start at the X. That's how I see it. If he starts the season.
If he starts the season, yeah. If he starts the season, yep.
If he doesn't start the season, we're in a lot of trouble. But okay. So if he starts the season, I see him as an X. I see Douglas in the slot. And then when they go three wide receivers, that's when you think you're going to see Williams or Booty come onto the field. Those guys are going to fight.
Now, I don't understand why all the local media here is saying, well, because of what you got in the duplication of what guys do, Booty's probably the odd man out. Why? He was probably the best receiver you had last year.
Yeah.
So why is he the odd man out? I'm confused. Why?
I don't think he is. I don't think he is the odd man out, personally. I mean, if they try to trade him, I don't know. But I don't, like you say, I think that ship sailed now.
I think that ship sailed. What are you getting for him in a trade?
Not at this stage.
Right? He's not making a lot of money. That's why I'm saying Bourne should go. I wouldn't give it a Booty. Release Bourne. You save the money. And then let Bourne, let Booty battle it out in training camp like he did last year. I mean, hopefully he takes a step forward. He's going to get better coaching, right?
Yeah.
And see what happens.
I mean, I see McDaniels. So people say, well, I mean, when you say, okay, he's the X and this guy's the Y and this guy's the Z, I mean, what does that mean to the people out there? The fans, the fanalists like us. So what does it mean? Well, look at their type of offense. Look at now they're saying they're gonna incorporate some West Coast stuff into this now. They're gonna incorporate some different things. It isn't gonna be the same offense that Brady was running exactly. But that's the only measure we have right now.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, one of the reasons why I don't think they're going to want Diggs playing the X is because in McDaniels' offense, the X is a runoff receiver a lot. An the X in that offense is a guy that opens things up for underneath to allow Edelman to run those little whip routes, those little come inside to outside routes, the slants, the outs, the comeback stuff, seam. They love to attack cover two, this offense, with their tight ends and seam routes with their slot guys. You remember Jacoby Myers did some of that with them. So the X is really a runoff. You saw Hogan playing at the X at times, remember?
Yeah.
It wasn't like Randy Moss. That was a whole different animal. But
that was a different era, different animal. Yeah.
So how are you going to see him used? That's why I think maybe Diggs doesn't play in the X to start. That they want him on the underneath routes. We talked about the comeback routes with him and the back shoulders and all that.
And he's good at that.
Yeah. I mean, do you see it playing that way? And then maybe Booty's on the field as an X at times. They try Williams out there as the X.
Booty and Williams on the field at times as the X. Yeah.
As the downfield.
Because Chris, you have to get
safety.
You have to get Diggs as many touches as possible. You're not going to do that by putting him in the X, Chris. You're right, because of the design of this offense.
Right.
Unless McDaniels really changes things around.
Maybe. But you can expect to see a lot of man coverage to start.
Oh, of course you are.
So when you have that situation, you better have a guy with some speed on the outside. If you're going to play a guy at the X, I don't know what his speed's like, but he's a guy that did get downfield and he caught.
He did.
So yeah, I mean, if you think Williams is going to get separation and he's going to be able to take that man coverage downfield and get open a couple of times, well, now what that forces in the McDaniels offense to do is the idea is to pull the safety there. You want to pull the safety over to the deep route to open up the underneath for all that stuff they do, especially with the tight ends. Hunter Henry and Hooper, and these guys are going to be running around in the middle of that field all day long, Mark.
Yeah.
Where does that leave Douglas? That leaves Douglas with the whip routes, some of them. That leaves Douglas on the other side.
My only thing
with Douglas, only gets on the field then when there's a 3-receiver set.
Yes, he does. But my only thing with Douglas is, Chris, he's so small. The more use he gets, he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's smaller than this kid Chism. So, but I think you could use Chism and Douglas in combination as your slot guys, maybe.
Yeah. And don't forget, there's a lot of things you do with these guys out of the backfield.
Henderson is a great receiver out of the backfield, Chris.
Yeah. But I mean, even with Booty and even with some of these other guys. And so that's kind of how we see it, right, Mark? Yeah. Playing out a little bit if everybody's healthy.
If everybody's healthy, yep.
It's hard because they're a lot of the same guys.
They are, and that's an issue. So we agree then Bourne's probably a casualty of a salary.
Yeah, I mean, even without that,
what does he give you?
He doesn't provide enough for you.
Provide enough. And I know you're dying to get rid of Polk.
I don't want Polk. I didn't want him to begin with.
All right.
So
that's the room.
That's it. So that's how we see the wide receiver room going. A little bit technical stuff. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out in training camp. But the Pats Nation was presented by CORSO CATONE, Saturdays, noon Eastern. Hey, we got Celtics playoff talk, Yankees, Red Sox. This crazy guy over here in Catone's comments. We'll see what he brings to the table. And come back next weekend, 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern to this show. Going to have our offensive line breakdown, trip around the NFL, and so much more. We are the Pats Nation. Hey, happy Mother's Day, everyone. So long.